Andrea is the MC for tonight, evidently, according to Wes.
Well, let me go see if I can find some other.
Wow.
Don't. You've known him for years. This is how that's how it rolls. It's fun this way.
So I'm the MC.
First time here. Q&A. Can y'all tell me the timing of what the timing looks like?
This is when the show. So Wes says you all think last exact time.
Okay.
But we're running a little behind.
Okay.
And by the way, I'm Andrea Douglas.
Oh, great.
I'm the
to meet you.
executive director here.
Oh, wonderful to meet you. This is a very cool space.
Thank you.
How can we get
I can do a quick Xerox. Copy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No worries. Thank you.
I know how to. I'm Sarad.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Great
nice to meet you.
Great.
Big supporter of Wes. And you, of course.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so you guys are, so there's a presentation first. You guys are doing some other activities, and then
I'm sorry. I'm not going to bother with the curtains. Just send them out front, and they can talk on the down instead of on the.
I just wanted to get a copy of my copy of the book.
Right.
All right. So you
Yeah.
you want to be last.
I want to be last because I have to talk about the history real quick.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, Winnie.
All right. So did you? That copy is for her.
Yes.
So you're gonna give me another copy. So
They're making a photocopy.
great.
Or you can have this.
No. That's good.
Okay.
You don't need it. You can just
I
read it.
do.
Do you have
I just found out I'm.
I can take another one. Thank you so much. Do you need a water? Or you good?
I think if y'all have someone who could like makeshift green room, is that gonna be a makeshift green room and then Joey can chill
Yeah.
until it's time?
That's fine.
What? Good evening, everybody. You know, I used to be a classroom teacher, so classroom teachers say, "I'll wait." Y'all know that one. But it's so good to be here tonight. Y'all look amazing. And we're here to celebrate a couple of just amazing folks, but also some other community members. And I want you to know I just got this assignment like 2 minutes ago. So y'all, I'm the substitute teacher, so y'all be nice to the substitute teacher. But my name is Sarad Davenport, and I have my friend here, Andrea Douglas, and we're gonna try to keep this train moving tonight. Andrea, you want to say something before we get started?
He got his assignment 2 minutes ago from me, and I got mine 5 minutes ago. So I need your grace as well. There are a couple of sponsors who we want to bring up to talk about some of the things that they want to talk about. And then after that, we'll have the D&D dancers. And then we'll have a panel discussion, and then a conversation between Wes Bellamy and Joy Reid. All right, that's our plan of attack.
But first, we're going to start with the Delta. So if there's a representative, come on, look, she's back. The kids are clapping for the Delta. Give it up for the Delta. Come on, y'all. All right.
Thank you so much. I'm going to be joined by our social action chair in just a minute. My name is Nsofa Geronda Chanda. I'm the president of the Charlottesville Lemony chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. On behalf of the chapter, we want to welcome you all and thank you for partnering with this on this book tour. Since our inception, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated we have prioritized scholarship, service, sisterhood, and social action. Our 5 programmatic thrusts are education, international awareness and involvement, physical mental health, economic development, and political awareness and involvement, which houses our social action efforts. Here with me is our social action chair, LaToya Brown, to tell you a little bit about our efforts.
Good afternoon, everyone. The Charlottesville Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated proudly continues its social action mission through community and civil rights engagement, voter education and registration, candidate and issue awareness, and legislative advocacy. As you enjoy this afternoon's conversation, you may notice there are a few QR codes displayed throughout the venue. There are 2 up here, and there are 2 somewhere in the back of the room. These links provide vital resources to support our service communities, addressing food insecurity, housing needs, and other essential supports. We encourage you to scan them, save them, and share them with anyone who may benefit. Charlottesville Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated is honored to offer its strong and steadfast support, honoring our commitments to arts and letters, education, and social action. We extend our deepest gratitude to honorary member of DST, Joy Reid, Dr. Wes Bellamy, and all the additional co-sponsors of this event. Your dedication to activism makes this both meaningful and memorable. Thank you for being here this afternoon, for supporting this work, and for helping us continue to serve with purpose and excellence. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. I'm going to invite up Ariel to come up and talk a little bit, but before we get started, I want to remind myself why I'm here. So I represent Vinegar Hill Magazine, in my humble opinion, radio talk show in Charlottesville. Tomorrow we'll call the Charlottesville Inclusive Media Project, and that's part of the reason we're here to cover the event and make sure it all goes well from a media perspective, local media perspective, inclusive media perspective. And I want to turn over to Ariel to talk a little bit about, I'll let Ariel tell you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ariel R.A. Long. I am the coordinator for the Tonsillar League. Thank you all for everything that you've done for us this past weekend. Last night, we had an amazing sneaker ball, which helps raise scholarships for the children of the Central Virginia area to pursue post-high school endeavors. Today, just about an hour ago, we gave out over 250 turkeys in size to the community. And then now we're going to wrap up our weekend with this amazing book talk with my brother. So if you haven't purchased the book, there will be books on sale over here. You can come visit me. Make sure you read that book. Okay, no one's coming to save us, but he gave us an amazing blueprint of how we can do it ourselves. Okay, so I hope you enjoy the talk with Wes and Joy Reid, and thank you again for coming.
All right, without further ado, we're going to get into some of the entertainment, and the first thing that we're going to see, we're going to be able to experience are the D&D dance team. Come on, y'all, give it up for the kids. Yeah. All right. So after they open the curtains, you will hear from D&D.
Hi, everyone. It's always important to be able to pivot when you can. For some of you who don't know who I am, my name is Andrea Douglas, and I'm the executive director here at the Jefferson School African American Heritage Center. And I want to welcome you all, but before I welcome you all, I want to just give you a little bit of context of where we are. It's a really interesting thing that tonight we're talking about something entitled No One Will Come to Save Us, right? Most of the time when I come up here and I talk about the history of this particular space that we're in, I talk about the history 1926 forward. But I want to bring you all into a little bit of a different space. I want to bring you into a space that's 99 years ago, just before this building opened, right? This building, this portion of the building, next year will be 100 years old, which means these floors will be 100 years old, right? These windows, although we have done some adjustments here, will be 100 years old. But a couple of things that I wanted to just touch on real quick, just to contextualize the fact that often people talk about the notion that Black people are resilient, but what we are is persistent, all right? And this conversation suggests that persistence. The images of those people all around us who are second generation post-enslavement represent persistence. And then the opening of this building. So if you were here 99 years ago and you were 14, you probably, if you were able to afford it, would have left Charlottesville to have a high school education, right? Next year, when this opens, what it represents is the democratization of education. This community asked for that high school in 1875. The important thing about 1875, it's a Civil Rights Act. By 1876, Reconstruction was over, and we were in a completely different era. But the people on the wall who inherited the efforts of those early responders are the same people that we all have inherited their efforts today. And so rather than resilience, I want to talk you all to remember persistence. And as you're listening to the talk today, that's what you will see. So again, thank you all for coming. You could spend your time anywhere, but I'm really happy that you chose to be here. This place is yours. We built it for you, and we hope to see you here again. Thanks.
hold my hands and be my guide. Filled with stars, cover your skies. And I hope it rains. You're the perfect lullaby. Beautiful like that. Either way, I don't wanna wake up in the dream. Oh, beautiful like that. Somebody fix me. Now let's look up to the truth. I ain't going nowhere. Baby, don't get your hair. I'll be walking on me. Oh, beautiful like that. Either way, I don't wanna wake up in the
Yeah, doing no hand bend it over, looking dead in his eye like a soul. Yeah, doing no hand bend it over, looking dead in his eye like a soul. Yeah, doing no hand bend it over, looking dead in his eye like a soul. No hand, doing no hand bend it over, looking dead in his eye like a soul. Yeah.
on my back, take it to the floor. We gon' rock on that. Take it down, no, that's not what's up. I'm hot like this, so see the spot tonight. What's up? That's right, that's right, that's right. Like this, like that. Drop the beat and bring it back. What's up? That's right, that's right. You like it, I like it. You love it, I love it. You want it, you want it. What's up?
Right there. Just where we going? Where we going?
She don't know what she doing. It's giving it out. What it? Girls that wham in a circle, even if love make it jump like a hurdle. Girls that wham in a circle, even if love make it jump like a hurdle. Girls that wham in a circle, even if love make it jump like a hurdle. Even that one small, still 30.
You need this.
Y'all hype yet? Yeah, give it up for D&D. Yeah. Sorry about the little audio things, but you know, good things come to those who wait. So we had a good time. Those young people could be anywhere doing anything, but they're doing positive things, and especially grateful for the people that are working with them, the adults that are working with them. Yeah. All right. Well, we're getting ready for our first panel. So there's going to be a panel of guests that come up. So I think we're going to start moving the chairs into place. And we got this amazing panel of people that are doing great things in the community, from Prolific to Jamar with Dream and Shanice. And also Her Sports is in the house, so they're going to come up in a second. and they're going to have a panel discussion. So as they get set up, are they going to come up now? Should I welcome them up now, or should we? All right, tell them, come on out of there. They was back there praying. I'm telling you. No, seriously. I said, were they praying for real? They was like, yes, we were praying. We were in here praying. It was like, we got to get some order to the program. So they said they were back there praying. So they're about to come on now. All right, let me bring up to the stage. First of all, Jamar, come on up. Give it up for Jamar from Dream. See, I love Jamar. Jamar went to ODU, so I went to ODU, so we have that in common. So shout out to Jamar. And then we have Josiah from Mahogany and Friends. Are you representing Mahogany and Friends today? Give it up for Josiah. I know Josiah's mom. She's gonna be mad at me. I messed up that daughter's name. My bad. All right, and then we got Shanice. Shanice, come on up. Come on up. And we have Jessica from Her Sports. So come on up. And then also Ray Elijah. Ray Elijah, who you representing today? Ray Elijah? All of it. So Ray Elijah's on the task force for the Jefferson School. Also, you still City Promise? City of Promise, all types of things. So come on. Give it up for Ray Elijah. All right, who else we got back there? Oh, yeah, Littles from Prolific. All right, give it up for Littles. Come on out, Littles. Nah, I was never going to leave you hanging. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to the panel. Let's welcome them and give them a warm round of applause before they get started. Give it up.
Good evening, everybody. Good afternoon. I hope everyone is having a great day. Thank you guys for coming. We're really excited for you all to be here at the historic Jefferson School. So we are grateful to be surrounded by friends, community leaders, and people who are showing up every day doing the work. So we're just having a conversation about this book this conversation is inspired by this book, Nobody Coming to Save Us. As you guys know, Dr. Wes Bellamy, this book is challenging us, empowering us, and reminding us that we are responsible to carry and build the change that we want to see. So he did our introductions. We were going to do that, but y'all got it already. So we're just going to jump right into the questions, and I hope you guys enjoy, okay? Y'all ready? Everybody mics on. We did a little mic check over here.
We good.
Y'all good? Y'all good? Make sure they're all ready. Good. Awesome. So, yeah. Good. Okay. No worries.
We can share this one.
We can share one in the
We
front,
in
one in the
back.
back. Okay. So this first question is going to be for us to really sink into the title of the book. As we know, when you hear the phrase, nobody is coming to save us, what does that mean to you in your own leadership journey here in Charlottesville? When you hear nobody's coming to save us. Yes, on.
Test. Okay, yeah, I think the title is pretty simple. Nobody is coming to save us. It's just all about taking the initiative and not having the expectation or the entitlement that somebody else is coming to save us. We have to save ourselves. Yeah, see, there we go.
Yeah.
This is a little bit better. There we go. Yeah, so I think it's all about, taking the initiative and not waiting on anybody else to do anything for us. So I think the title is pretty simple. If anybody else wants to elaborate on it.
Is this loud enough? Can y'all hear me? Y'all can hear me okay? All right, great. So is this better? Yeah. So for me, it's all about ownership and leading and creating our own pathways and not waiting for anyone to be the main character in our own stories.
Yeah. Okay, good. So what was a moment that made that feel real for you?
She said, put me on the spot. Okay. So one of the things is like we sit sometime, for some of you who don't know, I'm not just working at Ready Kids. I also do my own thing with regards to creating experiences where people can just be and curating spaces for us, specifically Black people too, right? So we have Miss CVILLE Juneteenth, and it's all about, I see a need in my community, I don't see it happening, or I see something and I feel like it has potential to grow. Either how do I step in to assist, or how do I create a whole new pathway in a lane for other people instead of waiting? So, yeah.
Yes. That's powerful. That's good. Awesome. So we're gonna, lead that right into the next question. So we all are leading in a city of two truths, right? We have dual realities here. So how do you lead in a place shaped by both white supremacy and Black resilience? Littles.
I think it's very important, growing up in a city like Charlottesville and this being part of your roots, it's easy for us to, exist in predominantly Black spaces because we grew up here. And so we know our pockets, right? And then, when you travel and then you have experiences where you understand how white Charlottesville is, it's very important to curate spaces like this, right? For us, by us, but it's also important for us to take up space. And so I think that's very important to be intentional when we show up, right? And so when you're creating spaces, if you're creating organizations, a lot of times people feel like you have to feel this void of how you should exist, how you should present yourself. And the easy solution to that is to be yourself, right? And so you don't have to try to check boxes when you're existing in spaces, even when you don't feel invited, right? And so it's like, I'm going to be me regardless. And that's very important because the culture that we build, the culture that we have, is one of one. And so we should never try to minimize that because we don't feel like we belong in that space. And so it's very important to continue to do that and show up in other spaces.
Thank you. We resonate with that for sure.
And I think it's also important to get comfortable being uncomfortable. I think a lot of us in this room has been at tables where we felt unwanted or unwelcome, but we have to get used to making ourselves at home at those tables too, because if we don't, the change is not going to happen. So even if we're not welcomed into that space with open arms, you still have to go into those spaces and make your presence known, make your voice be heard. Because until we start to do that and get comfortable doing that in those spaces, we're not going to create the change that we would like to see.
Another thing, education is key. I think the more you educate yourself about Charlottesville, the history of Charlottesville, and the spaces that you want to be in, I think it's easier to be yourself so you won't feel like you are them or you're not supposed to be there. So I just think education is key.
I love that. And I think that something that helps us all stay grounded is when we show up in these places and still present ourselves professional, authentically us, and we are going to be the person that this city raised us to be and who we've grown to be. So thank you guys for that. So that really bridges us right into the next question. This one is going to be the weight of leadership. It's difficult. So was there a moment for any of you that you wondered if this work was worth it? And, what brought you back to stay grounded and continue doing the work here in the community?
I'll go ahead and speak on that.
Okay.
I think we all had this conversation. I think we fight against each other. It's a lot of competition. There's a lot of egos within this small city. And I think it makes it hard for us to collaborate due to that. And so a lot of the times for me, I'm like, I'm done with Charlottesville. I'm doing it elsewhere. Because I feel like I'm bigger than Charlottesville because my mission is big. However, I just think it's too much competition that keep us divided that, will prevent us from making the overall impact together. So anybody else want to?
I think the hard part for me is oftentimes feeling overlooked. I know the work that we do is not for attention necessarily, but sometimes it's so hard to feel like you're doing all of this and nobody's trying to help pour into what you're doing and that they're looking by you. And then it makes you feel like you want to give up or stop doing it. But you also know if I don't, who will? So for me, that's the part that makes me keep going, because if there was somebody else that was doing it, my inbox wouldn't get blown up for the help. If there was somebody else that was doing it, I would be seeing it be done or would be getting done, and I wouldn't have to wake up every day and go answer these calls. But I think the overlooked part is the part that you struggle with.
Black leadership can be lonely. That's exactly what, this question is revolved around. And I think, like you all mentioned in various ways, making sure that you continue doing the work and looking at the bigger picture is what will help keep you focused and keep going. Anybody else got something on that one? Yeah, go ahead.
I also want to say that it's super important as Black leaders that you find your tribe of people, right? It might be a few of us doing it, right? And we're all human and we all have life happening at the same time. But honestly, had it not been for like Jessica or Elijah and a few others on stage, like it's a lonely process, right? But the more connected you feel, the more community spaces you build, that sense of belonging, that's going to keep you here. That's going to keep you going. So yeah.
Do you guys feel like any of those things shifted your leadership or helped recenter your style of leadership?
Yeah, I think I fell victim to that at one point in time, feeling like overlooked or unrecognized. I think with me, it was more so trying to focus more so on the people who bought into the initiative of things that I wanted to do, rather than focusing on the people who did not, and just reminding myself of my purpose.
Okay, awesome. So this is a good one that we're about to lead into. So leading while bleeding, right? As you mentioned, everyone has life going on. We're all dealing with things in various ways. So the question specifically, many of us are carrying wounds that still show up but we're still showing up for our people. So what's the challenge that you're still healing from, dealing with, bleeding through, and how is it shaping your leadership style today?
I would say, like, I feel like everybody in this room goes through it. And I would say one thing that I've been battling with a lot lately is just grief. And learning how to deal with that, but still show up at the same time. I think with me, it's just finding a way to turn that pain into a purpose.
I think for me, a lot of my work is with youth. So I get a lot of the calls from the kids that I work with, parents or former kids' parents, that they cannot find their child. Their child has run away or their child is missing. And we see that a lot with today's youth on social media, where they're running away or they're disappearing. And for me, my family, we just had to get through the 13-year anniversary of my cousin Sage being missing without a trace from here. So when I get those types of calls, it's I have a trigger reaction sometimes. But then I have to remember I need to be that person for these families that I felt my family did not have. So I make sure I answer that call. I make sure I get up. I drive my car. I get my daughter out the bed in the middle of the night, and I ride through the different neighborhoods I know they hang out at or friends hang out at. I contact other kids' parents to try to find or help find their child. It's one of those things that I feel like we can't avoid, but part of what helps me with my healing is helping others who's going through it.
I'll second everything they just said. So when we talk about bleeding, it's grief, right? As someone who comes from this community, as someone who lost her mother at 17, as someone who's officially parentless as of 28, I get it. Grief is hard. And if anything, I don't know if you all have been paying attention to what's happening around us. It's a lot of loss, and it's a lot of youth, and it's a lot of Black youth, right? So what are we doing to address that? And if that's not enough fuel or gas to get you fired up or to put a battery in your back, then something's wrong, right? On top of that, even with, like, some of you are aware, dealing with breast cancer. And thankfully, I just have to finish my reconstruction surgery at this point. But back to what Reid just said, people say, sit down, rest. How do you rest and how do you sit down when children are harming themselves? They're struggling with mental health, when gun violence is increasing. How do you sit and rest? It doesn't make sense to me. It sounds great, right? But all it takes is a little bit of extra effort, a little bit of sacrifice, right? I have a child of my own, but the work continues. The work continues, and I think we just have to do a better job of sacrificing a little time, because that's what's necessary.
I want to say we do this work for a reason, right? I just had one of my kids, a Black young boy, committed suicide, and I had to take on the funeral causes, identifying his face. So I think it's when you see these faces up here, we go through a lot. And I just think if we continue to come together as a collective and also call, are you all right, Shanice? Like, is there anything that you need? Like, we can walk around smiling, but we still need somebody to call us to make sure we okay.
And I think that's the important piece. And I was going to close it with that, making sure that we all know that people do show up for you and they want to be there for you. So you have to continue to lean on your support system, and it'll help you continue being the strong leaders that we are today. All right, we're going to go through another question so we can get going. We are doing, where do you see the barrel in Charlottesville? The systems or the structures that push us to fight each other instead of changing the container? What are you seeing? The barrel, not the crabs. Pass it to Jamar.
I think it's a pride thing. Oftentimes, a lot of us want to be the name in the face of everything. It is okay to play the back sometimes. It's okay to partner. It's okay to come together. We don't have to be in competition with one another. That was instilled into us, and we have to break that. I can speak for those of us on this stage when I say, like, we were all randomly selected, but every last one of us on this stage is tied together for something. I'm at Her Sports Day. I sit on boards with Littles and Shanice. I went to high school with Jamar and played sports with him, and we all come together and support each other's initiatives. I mean, he just got me out there with Prolific this year. Never thought I'd be out there with a running group. But we come together. You know, I don't think it's necessarily these systems that are doing it. I think it's within us, and we have to learn to set our pride to the side and get rid of that ego and partner.
Yes.
Everybody's name can be on it together. It don't have to be one name bigger than the other. We can all be in 12-point font.
Exactly. And part of resisting the barrel is showing up fully. So again, thank y'all for showing up fully today. We are doing the work. So this is going to be our closing off. We are going to do a message to the young Black leaders. Okay. So if each of you briefly can do something, what's one lesson you want the next generation of Black leaders, students, organizers, artists, what do you want them to carry forward if they are at home in the audience watching this live streaming? What do we want to say to them?
Know your why, live with a purpose. You know, we can say this all the time, but if you have an idea and you think it's a small idea, do it. Start today. And, you know, don't wait for anyone for you to, you know, jump off the porch and kickstart that journey. And, you know, that leads into the nobody coming to save us in this entire book talk. But, you know, if you have an idea and you have a passion behind it, you know, passion means purpose, and lean into that, and the rest will take care of itself.
You're not too young to create change. Teach individuals through your lived experiences. You can do that at your age. There's no limit, and do not dim your light just to help others' light shine. You can pull them up and have their light shine next to yours.
I would tell them it's strength in numbers. Get with those that are like-minded. Also get away from those who kind of hold you down, or, you know, they're detrimental to your growth. So it's just like, I feel like, you know, elevation requires separation. So sometimes you have to separate yourself from certain individuals.
I'm just going to be one word: mentorship. Find a mentor or mentors that you see yourself in.
I have several things to say, but I'm gonna try to keep it brief. Experience is not what happens to you, it's what you do with what happens to you, right? So sometimes, although we don't recognize it in the moment, whether it be grief or whatever you're dealing with, sometimes those are the things that's gonna carry you through your next season. And I'm gonna keep going, I'm not rushing. And also just the importance of recognizing how important it is to build your own community and to create your own spaces, and know that you may not have the blueprint. You literally might be creating your own path in your own lane, and that's okay. That's okay. And one more thing I didn't get to say earlier. They're like, hurry up. One more thing I didn't get to say earlier. It's so important to connect with your people. I just want to give a shout out to all the historically Black college and university alumni in the building, because this is what allows us to show up in certain spaces authentically true as ourselves, and being true to our identity, and being able to stand out and stand in spaces as the only one without feeling like you need to dim your light, shift how you show up authentically and professionally, right? So that was one more thing I wanted to say. We didn't get there.
Hell State.
Yes. So thank you all. Your words and your leadership matter deeply. I really appreciate you all showing up today. Thank you guys for listening in, and go buy the book.
Is it on? All right, we got a brief set change, and then we're gonna bring them back up. You know what? I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna sit down and relax a little bit. But the one thing that I've noticed today is that we've been having what I call an intergenerational dialogue. And I think like Wes's book title is specific to this. Is like, if we don't talk to each other, we're not going to be able to get anything done because we never really sit down. And the other thing I talk about is called the posture of listening. You ever met somebody that is thinking about what they want to say while you talking? So they're really not listening to you. So sometimes we have to sit back and really listen, because you might change your response if you really heard what the other person said. And I think that's happening today, even from what we saw from the young people first, and then that next generation and us all together. Like, we have to like sit down and really listen to each other and then act, as opposed to acting before we take that posture of listening. I see my boy, is that Will back there? I see him back in the cut there. I mean, I feel people's energy. I felt Will, he's here. So Will's a good brother. Will Jones, who runs with Prolific, but also is just a major community person in Charlottesville that helps us with this intergenerational dialogue. But that group of, I feel like I'm getting older now, so I'm coming up on 50, but some of y'all might be like, you ain't doing nothing 50, but I feel like I'm getting a little bit older. But it's just good to see the next generation stepping up. Can we give it up for them? Yeah. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, like, we have to learn how to like really transition and pass the baton in a very orderly way, because a lot of times we don't. And we have to set up the situations where we can pass the baton. And I think this next group that's coming is just impressive, and I'm happy about that. So y'all ready for Joy Reid? And our brother Wes Bellamy. Yeah, give it up for Wes. He put me on the spot tonight. We're gonna fight later, but we're gonna love on him tonight and make sure we support what he has going on. Let me see how they doing back there. Oh, I think they about ready. Is that Marquand in the back? Okay, there you go. All right, seeing all the people. All right, got Mill on the media back there. Brother Mill on the media. I ain't got no jokes to tell. I'm not good at that. All right, cool. Let me see where they are. But y'all look great tonight. Is it hot in here? Or is it just I need to look? No, y'all didn't see the eyelashes. I said, "Is it hot in here?" To start going. I saw like going like that, but it's okay. All right, let me go check on them. We'll be back in just a second. All right. All right.
Okay, got it. Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor and a pleasure to introduce our guest today. Again, my name is Nsofa Chanda, and I will be introducing Joy Reid and Dr. Wes Bellamy. Joy Ann Reid is the host of the Joy Reid Show podcast on YouTube at thejoyreidshow.com, and the former host. Mind the way. And the former host of The Readout on the former MSNBC. She is a two-time best-selling author, including her latest book, Medgar and Merrily, Medgar Evers and the Love Story That Wakened America. Reid has written 4 books: Fracture, Barack Obama, The Clintons and the Racial Divide, We Are the Change We Seek, The Speeches of Barack Obama with Washington Post columnist E.J. Dawn, the New York best-selling book, The Man Who Sold America, Trump and the Unwavering of the American Story, and her latest, Medgar and Merrily. Also, Sora is an honorary member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Let's welcome Joy Reid. Dr. Wes Bellamy is the author of When White Supremacy Knocks, Fight Back: How White People Can Use Their Privilege and How Black People Can Use Their Power. He is the former vice mayor and city councilman in Charlottesville, Virginia, is currently the political science department chair at Virginia State University, chief executive officer of the Black College Basketball Invitational Championship, the nation's first HBCU postseason basketball tournament, chairman of the Charlottesville Housing and Redevelopment Board, and is the National Public Policy Chairman of 100 Black Men of America. Dr. Bellamy also serves as the founder and commissioner of the Tonsler League, a youth and adult basketball league in the greater Charlottesville community, which is the premier weekly summer activity and event in the area. He is the youngest individual ever elected to the Charlottesville City Council post, and he came into the national spotlight after helping to lead the effort to remove statues of Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson from city parks. Dr. Bellamy is truly one of the global thought leaders of the millennial generation. Dr. Bellamy has been featured in the New York Times, Washington Post, USA Today, Huffington Post, and has made appearances on CNN, MSNBC, PBS NewsHour, NPR, and The Breakfast Club, and One-on-One with Angela Rye. Let's welcome Dr. Wes Bellamy.
Y'all give it up for the lovely ladies of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, the Charlottesville Alumni Chapter. Boy, if y'all didn't clap for the Deltas, it was gonna be some issues in here, y'all. Y'all better get right. Thank you to my dear sister Joy for coming out.
For acknowledging that, because that is true. No, we had a good time back there with our sorors. So thank you all for being here. And if you're a member of the D9 in general, I want to big you up as well. So it's all D9 love. And it is wonderful to, yes, you can give an applause for that.
That's right.
And if you find me, we love you as well. Okay, we love everyone. It is great to be here with Dr. Wes Bellamy. Do I have to call you Dr. Wes Bellamy?
You never do. I didn't know that.
We've been on the road together a lot, so forgive us if we cut up a little bit. We were on the State of the People Power Tour together, and we kind of weirdly turned into like an act. Like we have like a joint act on the road, don't we?
We do.
Right.
That's my sister.
Absolutely. So now I get to interrogate him. It's going to be really fun. It is great to be in the Jefferson School. I've gotten a little bit of an education about this historic place. It is just an honor to be here walking on the very boards where this used to be the Black school in the segregated times. And it still provides such an amazing blessing to this community. Can you just talk a little bit about what it means to have this kind of a facility in a place like this?
Yeah. So, I mean, I want everybody to know we were really intentional about being here in this space. Before we move forward, I know we heard from her already, but can we please give Dr. Andrea Douglas a round of applause? There she is back there. Andrea often doesn't like to be recognized for the tremendous work she does. In some way, she works in the shadows. Andrea has been cussing me out for 13 years, or 10 years since she's been here. Little brother and big sister. But I think we all know the phenomenal work that her and her team put into being in this space. Andrea, like I remember when this first came back about how protective she was of the space, and her educating me on how literally these rooms, these floors, these boards, this wood was walked by some of the most influential and impactful Black folk to ever come through this area. And when you look at the work that she's been doing, as well as my dear brother, Bernard Whitsitt, with the Jefferson School, even though he's an Omega, he's all right. He's all right with me. You too, Sarah, you jump like I got the mic now. But in all seriousness, like there's a lot of work from people who have put blood, sweat, and tears into this facility being ours. So when we had the conversation, my brother, Dr. McDonald, and I, we were talking about, all right, let's figure out, we want Joy to come. And there were some people saying to us, well, like, we should take it to MLK, or you should have it at UVA. And I was really intentional with saying, nah, this conversation has to be here in our space with our people. Because again, if nobody's coming to save us, then we need to be in our space talking about the things that we have to do with us. So, I really appreciate y'all coming out, and I thank the ancestors for having us in this room.
Absolutely. And I also want to, while we're applauding, also big up the Tonsler League, of course, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, Charlottesville Alumni Chapter, Vinegar Hill Magazine, and the In My Humble Opinion radio show. Those are our hosts on today.
Yes, ma'am.
So this book, Nobody's Coming to Save Us, it's part workbook for activism and part autobiography.
Yes, ma'am.
So I want to start with the autobiography part of it.
Okay.
Your people are originally from South Carolina,
Yes,
and you came up south to come move to Charlottesville, right?
Up south.
You
That's
came
a good
up
one.
south.
Yeah.
But talk about growing up, and something that was really poignant for me in the book is you talked about in growing up needing the affirmation of Black women, that being a real part of your growing up in your psychology.
Yeah, and just to be clear, Joy didn't tell me any of the questions beforehand, so y'all gonna get the raw, the raw and the real. So yeah, in the book I talk a great deal about like my family all being from this place called Atlantic Beach, South Carolina. And for those who aren't aware, Atlantic Beach is one of the last Black-owned beaches on the entire East Coast. And my mother and I and my father, I grew up in Atlanta. So when I was 2, I moved to Atlanta, or 1 or 2, whatever. I moved to Atlanta. So I didn't necessarily get a chance to grow up around like all my cousins and all my aunts and all of that good stuff initially, because I was in Atlanta with my mom, and my father battled drug addiction for a very long time. So he left my mom when I was 3. So essentially it was just she and I would spend time in Atlanta, and then, kind of going back and forth to South Carolina, and my aunt and my grandmother, and I've had ladies in the community kind of often pour into me in a wide variety of different ways. And that's what made Charlottesville really feel like home. There's been a lot of Black women in particular here who made me feel welcome. I spent many a day on the porch of Joy Johnson, and many of y'all know Joy. She will tell you a lot of choice words, but also make sure y'all laughing because y'all know she also really made me feel welcome. Dr. Holly Edwards, rest in peace. She really spent a lot of time with me, especially while running for office and eventually getting on council and helping me get through really tough times. So it was sisters who really helped me in that regard. And it was something that I was often looking for. My mother and I didn't necessarily have the closest relationship. We didn't have a traditional son and mother relationship, excuse me. But I feel like God always sent me what I needed. I had mother figures along the way. Miss Boyd's in here. Like there's a lot of people who really from this community just really helped me plant my feet and find my way. And I talk about those women in the book. So some of y'all will see y'all names in the book when y'all read it. And it's really an ode and me paying homage to y'all in a wide variety of different ways.
Yeah, there's some names I recognize too. The great Angela Rye. There's a lot of name checks. There are a lot of people. If you played a part in this young man's life, you're going to get named in this book. I want to read this little part of it because I think this is a theme that kind of reads throughout the book. And you said, you write, one of those things that I thought wait, hold on, let me go back. You said usually I sought validation, right? Where usually with a woman who told me all the things that I wanted to hear. I didn't do drugs, I didn't drink alcohol, never smoked weed, never smoked a cigarette, never done much of anything in that realm. My vice was always validation from women. Validation was my addiction. And you write about how that search for validation, where you found and sort of alleviated that need, was through public service. Can you talk about that connection between seeking validation and public service?
Yeah, like I think that going to therapy helped me really understand what it was that I was looking for, or why I felt the need to do community work in a wide variety of different ways. And oftentimes it turned back or resort back to me looking for affirmation or validation, as stated in the book, from my mom, that she didn't necessarily give, but that was in part because she didn't know how to do it, and she didn't receive it in different ways. And as I got older, I learned to understand that I can't judge my mom for not doing something that she didn't know. So again, like I would turn to different persons, not only in the community, but also for young men in this room. Like a lot of us often try to seek out what we don't have in destructive measures. And for me, that was not only seeking like women's praise or telling me I'm doing a good job, but then I also would just pour myself into the community because I felt like it was serving or fulfilling a hole. And in the book, you see a lot of advice, from my personal estimation, about how while we may be looking for something, we have to be very careful that we don't turn into the same thing that we're trying to fight against. And that if we don't do the internal work within ourselves, we won't truly grow. And if we don't grow, then while on the front end, we may be presenting a facade that we are where we need to be by doing what we need to do. But internally, we're still hurting. And if you're still hurting, you're not going to be able to be the best version of yourself. So I had to be really honest about myself, be honest with myself about what it is that I was looking for, what it may have been before in terms of sabotaging relationships or blaming other people for why I'm not where I need to be, and do a level of accountability, as I challenge all leaders to do, a self-inventory of where we are, because I think it's important for us to understand who we are before we go and lead someone else, because you may lead somebody, or more importantly yourself, to self-destruction. And I learned that over time.
And one of the things you'll learn in this book is that the chapters give you a great autobiographical sketch of your life, but also there's a lot of like workbook style advice at the end of each chapter, which is really good. It's really valuable. You can use this. You can read it once, but you can keep going back to it. That's what I really loved about the way you constructed the book. You talked about creating relationships and sort of giving people an analogy that you need to have a will, that you need to, and you name these people that are your friends, including Jeezy. And when you first read, I'm like, you mean Jeezy? And you really actually did. It was like a humble brag. It was really, but you have these, friends in your life too, these brothers that also give you that and pour into you. How did they impact your life?
Yeah, well, everybody, I mean, a lot of folks in town, they know the relationship with my brother Will. Will, raise your hand, Will. He don't like for me to do that. Will is the guy with the gray hat right there.
Will, you're in the book.
Yeah, he know, and like Will is somebody who, I mean, as you all read the book, we started the Prolific Run Club together, and during the stuff of A12, we spent a lot of time together, and that's my man. I really feel like God sent him in my life to ensure that I can go down a path to achieve what I'm supposed to. He's my accountability partner. He's an individual who day after day is going to not only ensure that where I'm supposed to be, but also remind me that it's okay if I'm not at my absolute best. And I think that we all need those kinds of persons. And honestly, there's a multitude of people, like Joy said earlier, like you need different persons in your life. Every leader does. And you're not going to speak to those people every day. You're not going to talk to them about every single thing, but there are different things that people can give you. Like, he going to get on me, but like Dr. Turner, Jesse Turner, he like gave me my second job here in Charlottesville. He hired me at Albemarle High School. I don't talk to him every day, but I know I can call him at any time. He knows that I'll run through a wall for him. I'm super appreciative of what he's poured into me. There's a chapter in the book about Dr. Harrison. Dr. Harrison, raise your hand. He don't know that. Yeah, he don't know that. He gonna find that out. But like his mentorship, his tutelage, him helping me be able to grow as a man. Like I write about that, and then how he's helped me elevate and think about things in different ways. Quentin is in here, Quentin Harrell. Like there's a lot of people again who've helped me along the journey. And in this particular chapter that Joy is talking about, we kind of just break down whether they're people who you meet on a day-to-day or they're quote unquote celebrity friends. I think there's something that we can glean from a multitude of different people and leaders, because we all are leaders. We need these different people. You cannot operate in a silo if you're going to move your community forward, in my personal estimation. So I hope that is kind of transferred from myself to you all in the book, and you can understand what I mean when we talk about these persons.
And by the way, for anybody who's a young journalist in the world, please read the book. I'm gonna let you know, I read and underline and stuff. If you're gonna interview somebody, it is helpful if you actually read their book. I've seen, right? Have you seen interviews where you could tell they didn't read the book? But I read this book. So let's talk about, you talk about some of the things that you did, and you open very early in the book, you talk about starting a boxing club as one of the sort of early acts of leadership, of local leadership. Talk about why you wanted to do that.
Yeah, so when I first moved to Charlottesville in 2009, one thing I used to ask a lot of people that I met, and Dr. Turner can attest to this, I used to always stop people and be like, where are the Black people? Like, where are the Black people? Because it was culture shock. I grew up in Atlanta. I went to undergrad at South Carolina State, which is a HBCU. And then I moved here, and I'm working at NJIC up on 29. And I'm living off of hydraulic. And I didn't really see a lot of Black folks. So by way of nature, like I started spending time at the Boys and Girls Club. Before they had the new Boys and Girls Club, they used to be in a space at Trinity Episcopal Church right up the street. And then, I met my dear sister, Kristen Sakos, there. And I would like literally just stop every Black person I saw and be like, well, where are we? Like, where do we go? Like, where are you? And people would say, like, they're around. You just got to find them, They're here. Y'all laughing because y'all, you see what I'm saying? So eventually it led me to West Haven, and meeting Joy and meeting Miss Holly. And I would spend a lot of time with these young men who were, I think I was 22 at that time. They were, 14, 15. So we're not really that far different from each other in age. And in Atlanta, I grew up boxing. So I would see them often slap boxing. And I would say to them, like, well, there's different ways that y'all can learn to get your frustration out, or if y'all are really this upset with each other, whatever the case may be. And I went to Kristen one day. We had got to know each other. I went to a city council meeting, and we got a chance to start building a relationship. And our former mayor, Dave Norris, and I said to them, well, like, I really want to start a boxing club. So Kristen, Dave, Holly, and rest in power to Mayor Hooja, former Mayor Hooja. They said, okay, we're going to give you some seed money, and we're going to put you in this little room in Tonsler. Some of y'all shaking your head because Quinn's shaking his head because he's been to that little room. The boxing club was literally like from that wall to this wall where the pool tables are now, for anybody who's familiar. And we would probably have 20, 30 kids in this little room, and it's hot and it is uncomfortable. We got tape so they can know where they're supposed to step. We got heavy bags. I have them running around town with their gloves on. And then eventually we had a dance team that came on board with them. And I learned through that, like, leadership isn't necessarily you just being the person saying, this is what we're going to do. Because over time, I saw some of the kids, they started leading the club. And while I started like running for council or doing different things, they were actually the ones who would get the boys off the bus and bring them to the club. Then they were running the boxing club. And then the sisters, they were the ones like leading the step team. And I wouldn't get there till you know, an hour or so after they already started. Some of y'all are saying I'm always late. Y'all are thinking it. Don't embarrass me in front of Joy. But like I would get there late and they were already doing the work. So it kind of taught me that, like, in many regards, that's what leadership is. It's you transferring your skills to others. And now that boxing club is still up and running. Hype is still up and they're still they're at Crow now. And it was so ironic because I went there a couple months ago. I usually go when it's really late, like when nobody's there. But I went a couple months ago while the kids were there, and one of the kids asked me, "Well, like, who are you?" And I thought that was really cool. Like, I thought that was so dope that he didn't know who I was. And I just said, "Hey, man, I'm just here working out." And some of the other boys was like, "He started the boxing club. Like, this is his club. He got all this stuff." But I think in many regards, that's leadership. Like, we don't always have to be the ones doing everything. That's also part of why we had that last panel. Like, there's a lot of people who are doing a lot of work in their own way. And we have to make sure we recognize that. I learned that in part from, she's gonna get me, but from Miss Raynell Stokes. Miss Stokes is in the back. Hey, Miss Stokes. And while we were at Albemarle, like, she would really show me, like, leadership isn't always you being up front. And leadership can be hard, but sometimes you got to do the hard things in the back so that the people up front can get what they need. And that's another form of leadership. So those are some of the things I learned in that regard.
I mean, you write about the difference between performative leadership and actual leadership. And you really talk a lot about that.
We cannot have performative leadership, especially in 2025, 2026, as our time continues to move forward. I understand we live in an era of social media, and we live in an era in which you have to, you know, be in front of the camera in some regard to show people what you're doing. And I think there's a time and place for that. But there's a time and place also for us to solely do the work. And that work requires consistency. And consistency doesn't always have cameras. Consistency means you just show up day after day after day after day, when it's uncomfortable, when you don't feel like it, when you got to rearrange your schedule. And I think that's how we continue to move our community. And honestly, I think that's where I've seen Charlottesville grow the most, in my personal opinion. I've seen us have a philosophical shift and a communal shift in terms of collaboration, more people speaking up and speaking out. I love the fact that Zai Bryan, you know, we all know Zai, she just won her school board race. You know, I thought that, I clap it up for Zai. Like, I think that's absolutely phenomenal. And, you know, 15 years ago, we didn't have people that young running for office. Like, to see Raylaja and Josiah and Jamar and Littles and all of them doing the work that they're doing, I think is just absolutely phenomenal. And what they're doing isn't performative, it's transformative. But transformative work doesn't always get attention, but that doesn't mean it's not valued. And that's what I want to challenge us to think about. Like, we don't always have to do the things that are going to get the most attention or the likes or have people talking about it, but it is transformative. And you don't always transform a community from a screen or a post. You do it on the ground. And that's what I'm proud of us for doing.
You are not shy about writing about failure in the book as well. You talk about before you were at the national level for 100 Black Men, having a failure in terms of the local chapter. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. Like, one of the greatest lessons I learned is from Dr. Harrison. And Dr. Harrison was like my dad. You know, he knows how I feel about him. I love him immensely. And he taught me, like, the 100 Black Men, if I had a suit jacket on, like, y'all know I wear my pen like literally everywhere we go. And the 100 Black Men, our local chapter specifically, it meant and means the world to me, because there's no other organization that's a collection of Black men from a bunch of different fraternities, a bunch of different organizations, different leadership styles, all with a singular goal of working towards ensuring that Black males get to where they need to be. So I was his shadow for, I don't know, several years. Where he went, I went. What he was doing, I was trying to do. How he led was how I wanted to lead. And when it was my turn to become chapter president, I had to learn that his leadership style and me trying to maybe duplicate what he was doing wasn't going to yield the results that he had because I wasn't Dr. Harrison. And in fact, like in leadership, you are going to mess up. And several of the brothers, like I write about, Brother Wissett and Dr. Page, they're in the book. And like, I had to learn from them that like, I have to be able to work with the board that I have and work with the folks who are around me. It's not always as a leader making other people conform to you. It's about you maybe in some instances acquiescing to get to where you need to be and then subsequently move the organization forward. And I didn't do that. I didn't do a good job of that. And subsequently, we had to get to a point where we're like, okay, we got to resign. Like I needed to take a step back. And one thing Dr. Harrison and I used to always talk about was that no one person is bigger than the organization. And if no one person is bigger than the organization, if I'm not serving the organization in the way in which we need to, then I need to take a step back. I still need to serve, but maybe it's not meant for me to be the leader right now. And after resigning from being the chapter president, which sucked, I had to eat some humble pie. 2 months later, our national chairman appointed me to our national board of directors. So, God has a funny way of doing things, and they work out how they're supposed to work out. But there's nothing wrong as a leader learning through failure, because it's not really a failure, it's really a lesson. But we got to be willing to accept those lessons and then subsequently move on.
Let me read a little bit. This is from a chapter section called Thrown into the Fire. And you write, when I got elected to the Charlottesville City Council, I was the youngest ever to hold that seat, the only Black man on the dais. And the city was in flames metaphorically and eventually literally over the Robert E. Lee statue. I wasn't just a vote on that issue. I was the issue for too many people. I was seen as the one leading the charge to remove the statue.
Why y'all laughing?
The one who brought the chaos. Talk about your role in attempting to remove that statue, because it brought about a world of attacks, including from some white nationalists who decided to target you for a really long time. But what in that moment, why did you think it was so important to remove that statue? Why did you push so hard?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Kristen Sakers, Zai, our former city manager, Maurice Jones, Andrea, Jelaine, like there's a lot of people who fought really hard for that. But I remember Kristen and I, as we were serving on council, Kristen I really learned this about this statue stuff from her in 2013. She had led an effort to rename Robert E. Lee. The state of Virginia, Commonwealth of Virginia rather, was celebrating Robert E. Lee as a statewide holiday, and she wanted it taken off the books. And when she led that effort, like people came from all over attacking her. So when it was time for us to have this conversation about the statue, she and I were thinking, oh, this is easy. But she said to me very clearly, like, Wes, I'm white. They ain't gonna be mad at me. They gonna be yelling at you. And I'm saying to her, like, Kristen, like, you tripping. Like, I got all the votes. I won all 10 precincts. It's not really gonna be that big of a deal. And she's like, no, Wes, like, they're going to come after you. You the only Black person on the council. And then I had to really learn that, like, nah, they are gonna come at you, Black folk and white folk. And there were people who said, like, you're not even from here. You causing all these issues here. We want life to be as it was before, like we had all these issues. But I really felt that it was something that God said was supposed to be done. And we talk about in the book, like when you have a calling, it's not a conference call. Like God tells you to do something. He's on your line and this is what you're supposed to do. And it's not for everybody else to understand. So I remember like even people in this room kind of at times saying like I really think you need to stop. These people are going to kill you, or like this is just causing trouble. But we had to keep pushing.
When the riots happened, did you what was your initial thought when you saw the Tiki Torch March and the riots? And then we're going to go to questions.
Well, I was with Will. So what some people don't know is like on August 11, 2017, I defended my dissertation. So that's the day I officially became Dr. Bellamy. And then my dissertation chair in the committee, they were saying like, you don't look like somebody who's happy who just became doctor. And I was like, nah, because my city is about to be going crazy. So Will and I, his wife was at this church performing. And then the people with the tiki torches trapped us in the church. They were like, we can't come out. They're surrounding us. And then they went across the street and they had the kids surrounded. And I wanted to go across the street really bad. And I'm telling him like, nah, we about to go F them up. Let's go fight them. And him telling me as a wise big brother does, like, no, we got to be able to live to fight another day. Let's go home. And Quentin and Yolanda, they allowed me to stay at their house. So because my house was being targeted. And the next day, I mean, someone dies.
Yeah.
So I felt horrible because I was thinking, like, I'm reading Facebook and people are like, this is all Wes's fault. Like, what the hell? And I'm like, damn, like this really might be my fault. And Kristen and I sitting at the Tonster Park, like we crying together because we just wanted to fight for what we believed was right. But eventually, I think the community as a whole saw that it was the right thing to do. And just because something is hard doesn't mean that it's not worth it.
Amen. Let's take some questions. Raise your hands. Okay, we have a question here. We have an immediate question here.
Yes,
and there are going to be a couple mics walking around. I'm just going to warn everyone, the mic will not be handed to you. So the mic will be held in front of you. So do not take this opportunity to make a speech or tell Dr. Bellamy how much you love him or how much y'all liked MSNBC. It's not even called MSNBC anymore. It's Ms. Now. Thank you. So don't talk about MSNBC on that
You're right.
microphone.
You're
All
right.
right. Now you've been warned. And keep your question brief if you could.
Yeah, don't take that mic.
Don't try to hold it now.
First of all, hi, Joy. You're one of my great heroes in journalism. So,
Thank
hey,
you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Dr. Bellamy,
Yes, ma'am.
with all the work that you have done, all the groundwork that you've laid, why now for this book?
Oh, I think that's a good question. I honestly, I don't know. This was probably about in June or July, and Ari wanted to kill me because she's like, in the middle of Tonsil League, you want to write a book? Like, we got all this stuff going on. But I really felt something really strong in my stomach about how we need a guide of sorts to help younger folk, middle-aged folk, and even those who may be older about the Black Point for Leadership. And when we would go on the tour stops and we would spend a lot of time with each other, it's kind of like the Black Avengers, if you will. I mean, you name it, who's who, all going to these different cities. I would learn and see different things from them. And I felt like there were nuggets that people also needed. And they don't get to talk to Joy or Angela or like some of these other folks who I had the opportunity to have access to. But then also I knew that, like, from a younger perspective, there were things and lessons that like young brothers like Marquand, they needed to know, but I didn't know if they were often hearing it in depth from a lot of different people. So this was honestly just me sharing, you know, what I've learned, lessons, losses, wins, and hopefully it's going to help somebody else along the way.
I love that you call it the Black print instead of the blueprint.
Yeah.
Next question.
Dr. Bellamy, how you doing?
What's up, brother?
Oh, ain't too much, just chilling. Very proud of you, brother. You've accomplished a lot since you've been here. With the things that you've accomplished, you went from a student, now you're a teacher. You've been teaching as you've been accomplishing things, and now you've come into a next level of your wisdom. So I have a pragmatic question for you, for all the other up and coming leaders. It's clearly documented how late you are to meetings, but you have accomplished many things. How do you operate on a schedule? How do you manage your schedule to do so much?
Thank you, Brother Q. I love you. Quentin and Yolanda are my daughter Stokely's godparents, and only a question that a brother would have with the digs in between. That's a great question, though. I get that often. So I try to be very, very meticulous about my schedule. Everything goes into the calendar. And I try, this may sound crazy, I live in increments, meaning that hour to hour, half day to half day, day to day, week to week, month to month. So every Sunday, I write a list of things that I know I need to do. There's a checklist that I physically write down, and on Wednesday, I go back and I check those items off that I've been able to accomplish, and then we may add a couple things to them. And then on Sunday, we revisit. What did we get done? What didn't we get done? But again, like, I try to live day to day, hour to hour, and minute to minute, because every moment is important. And I know that I don't have time to waste. There are a lot of things in which we have to juggle. And because there are things that we have to do and there are responsibilities that we have, I don't have time to play around or waste my time. That also means that I'm going to have boundaries with my time. My running time in the morning is my running time. I don't sacrifice or compromise that for anything. Something I encourage leaders to do. Have your boundaries for the things in which you are going to do that you want to do. The time in which I spend with my daughters, and specifically with Stokely, because she's going to make sure her daddy has her time with her daughter. With her dad. I know that those are things that I have to intentionally do. So again, if I want to be able to accomplish what I need to, I'm going to have to be regimented in that regard, and not drinking or not smoking. That allows me to have or need less recovery time, making sure that I go to sleep at night, because the work will be there the next day. And if I don't do it, that means that it just means I need to get it done later, or I need to prioritize it. And somehow, because it has to get done, reminding myself of that, it allows me again to, like, in my schedule, ensure that that time is put in. And that's how really we were able to get this book done in about 4 months. And I really, really like this book. So I hope y'all get a copy.
No, it's a great book. Do we have time for one more? Do we have time for one more? One more question.
Wes, you could have gone back to South Carolina. You could have gone to Atlanta, but you came here. And I just wonder if there are, which there should not probably be, any regrets of coming here and all that you've accomplished. Do you think someone somewhere else could have been a better fit?
No.
Because you went through a lot and you've accomplished a lot, and we thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Simone sold me my first grown-up car. No, this is where God said that I was supposed to be. This is where I'm supposed to be. And I absolutely love it here. I've turned down jobs that pay a whole lot of money to be here. Like, I enjoy being here. I enjoy getting the trash talked to me by Mama P. I enjoy Mr. Bryant sending me a birthday thank you that I know he's going to send every November 4th. I enjoy being at the Tonsillar League every Sunday in the summer. I enjoy jogging in this community. I enjoy being with my barber, Will. Like, I enjoy going to Food Line on 5th Street. Like, when I go places, I usually don't stay. Like Will will tell you, I had to go. I was in 4 cities this week. I had to go to LA on Monday. I went, my flight was at, I think, 6 a.m. I was back here the next morning, I think at 10 a.m. because I had to make sure that I was gonna get Stokely off the bus. Like, if I go somewhere, I usually go and I come right back, because this is home. This is the place that grew me up. This is the place that really taught me how to be a man. And there are so many people here who day after day remind me that we've accomplished something that's incredible, because I literally can't do any of this alone. Like y'all say, like, you've accomplished, like, I haven't really accomplished anything. We've done this stuff together. And because of that, like, I can't foresee myself being anywhere else. Now, I get a lot of flack from family back home. Like, my mom is always on me, like, why don't you come back to Atlanta? My family in South Carolina, you know, it's like a war zone where my family's from right now. There's a lot going on. And like I often say, you know, that's not where my soil is being grown. Like, I'm supposed to be here in Charlottesville because these are my people. And I live somewhere where people often tell me they appreciate me, they value me, And I try to show with my actions, like the turkey giveaway or us being here, like bringing someone like Joy or like Jeezy coming to Townsend Park. I try to show in many ways through my commitment that I appreciate y'all back. So to answer, no, I don't want to be anywhere else. This is where I want to be, and this is where I plan to be the rest of my life.
All right, my 3 rapid fire questions as we wrap this up. This is a book about leadership. Who is one leader you admire, living or dead?
That I admire?
Mm-hmm.
Andrea? Oh, Andrea said, I thought you said 5 minutes. No, she said, make sure I say her.
She said 5. Yeah, we giving us the time.
One leader that I admire, living or dead. One?
Just one. Narrow it down.
Probably Benjamin Tonsler, the first Black principal in Charlottesville, tied with Dr. Harrison. I think I've just learned a lot from those 2 people about like reading about Mr. Tonsler and then his commitment to the community, and then like spending so much time with Dr. Harrison about teaching me how to be a man. Like, this is how you be a man.
Yeah.
And this is how you lead. So those 2.
Okay, next question. What do you want your legacy to be? Ultimately, you're too young to really maybe contemplate that, but even at your youthful age, what do you want your legacy to be?
I mean, at 39, I don't know.
You're young.
I would say my legacy, I would hope that people knew I love Charlottesville.
Okay. And that there were only very good people, fine people on one side.
All right.
Sorry, did I say that in my outside voice? Sorry.
Right. You're right, Julie.
I can't change.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
Okay, this is in the book, and so I'm going to close with this question because this is actually in the book. You big up Uncle Phil, and Aunt Viv. Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Dark skin Aunt Viv or new Aunt Viv? I know. It's a tough question, but there's a right answer. Regular original OG Aunt Viv.
Y'all really appreciate
Or
y'all
new
coming
Aunt
out
Viv.
tonight.
Because you just said Aunt Viv,
Joe-
you didn't specify which one.
You know, Joy, I'm so glad you came here, man. I really.
He's now sorry that he invited me. Just in that moment.
Yo, I think dark skin Aunt Viv. I mean, she was incredible.
She's the original.
But I love Daphne Reid. Like, shout out
Daphne
to you know,
Reid. We love both Aunt
Yeah,
Vivs.
I love her. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know her. Like, she's great.
But the casting decision was crazy because they didn't look anything alike. So it was like they didn't think we were going to notice. They didn't look anything alike.
I mean, if Michael Jackson could go from,
Firm but fair. Firm but fair.
You know?
Thank you all for being here. You're going to love this book. It's about leadership. Nobody's coming to save us. The Black Print for Leadership by Dr. Wes Bellamy. Thank you, my
y'all.
friend.
All right. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere yet. Don't go anywhere yet. All right, before y'all go, I want y'all to stand on your feet and let's give a Charlottesville welcome for Joy Reid for coming and sharing with us. Yeah. And Wes is gonna have a book signing over in the room to my left. I just want to say for the record, Wes, you mentioned a whole lot of Omega men. A whole lot of them, right? And so, but just wanted to say thank you all for making this a wonderful night, and thank you all for coming and showing up in Charlottesville fashion. Thank you, Wes, for just contributing to our city and sacrificing. Just a kid from Charlottesville, you came here and you really made a difference for all of us. So we appreciate you. Give it up one more time.
We live in a society in which structural racism is a very real thing. We are all dealing with that in every aspect of our lives, and the media is a reflection of our community.
Historically, Black people have been portrayed a certain way in the media to justify normative assumptions around political and social issues.
More Black people behind the cameras, in front of the cameras, more producers, more people of color producing, so they can go and get the content that's needed so they can highlight our attributes.
I've been in this industry for 15 years, and I've seen firsthand how our voices just aren't heard. Even if you're in the newsroom, sometimes you get completely ignored and stereotypes are allowed to perpetuate. And one thing we want to do is combat that, and also bring information to people so they can be as informed as possible when choices are made in this city, so they can do whatever they can to get their voices heard.
What I believe can be done about the situation is to have more people of color creating news stories, more people who have an interest in and a social consciousness that relates to the stories that they're telling.
Charlottesville Tomorrow looks at these issues. We can present them on IMHO. Vinegar Hill Magazine can take that a step further, and just together we can just make this thing that can be an example of how we can change the media landscape, how we can be more inclusive to get these voices in, to get these people heard. That's just one thing that doesn't happen in so many places, and it's a shame.
We think we live in a society that's very progressive, and we're talking about equity and diversity and inclusion and all these things. Still, the way that Black people, and I would say, and I would argue especially Black men, are portrayed by the media is incredibly dangerous, and you've seen the sort of tangible violence that it's led to over the past year.
The community can support the SIM project by first and foremost giving us an opportunity. We understand that it can be difficult to give trust right now, especially considering the current social and political environment. But this project will only be as successful as the community allows it to be. And so we ask you to give us the opportunity to do the work, critique the work, and make sure that we stay in line with the vision. Another way that the community can get behind the SIM project is through engagement. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you're talking about. We want to put your stories out there. And so whether it's reading the articles written by Charlottesville Tomorrow or Vinegar Hill Magazine, or tuning in to In My Humble Opinion on Sundays on 101.3 Jams from noon to 3 p.m., either way, we want you engaged. We want you to be part of this. The community can also support the SIM project through funding. To learn more about how to support SIM, you can visit our website. Thank you for your support.